Hey everybody, welcome back to Chicago Reacts. My name is Michael. I'm an actor here in the city of Chicago, and I am joined by the ever brilliant, the always talented, the one, the only.
Who could it be? It's Zach, also an actor here in the city of Chicago, soon to be worldwide. Guys.
Zach Worldwide?
No, I was just excited because I saw on our watch list today, we have in one video 2 items that I'm very excited about. One, Mandalore Gaming, which we are watching right now.
Yes.
And two,
it's a finish.
It's The Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King review by Mandalore Gaming. Yes. And this was suggested by Desgaroth. I tried to make it sound very like Lord of the Rings. Desgaroth. Thank you for the suggestion. Yes, I'm wondering if this is the Lord of the Rings Return of the King
video game
that I definitely played.
I definitely played to pieces as a kid.
Yeah. My brother and I would do like the
Southern Gate mission, dude, because it was just like it was just literally like a fighting arena, and you could just like wipe out the whole map.
No, we would do like the survival. Like the never-ending survival mode.
The Tower of Saruman or whatever, where you would go up, and then each level up, it was like a new wave of enemies.
Yeah, it was just a new wave. I don't remember being the Tower of Saruman. I just remember it was almost more of a white void.
Yep, that might have been the two towers.
Yeah, because it would be the Tower of Saruman. So yeah, and I was Gandalf, and I got full wizard blasters.
God,
yes, it was so good. Wizard blasters.
At the end, dude, Gandalf would like. His fucking ranged blast would just like fucking eat through multiple people.
Oh, man. Anyway, obviously we're excited about this. If you are excited, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything else, and leave a comment in that comment section down below. I think since we're excited about gaming, let's throw it to
Twitch.
Yeah.
Chicago Plays, guys. That's our username on Twitch. Michael and I are on Mondays. We try and shoot for noon. Sometimes though, give or take, it might be one of us streaming on a night or something, but it's a lot of fun. We play with you guys too.
Yeah. So much fun.
A ton of fun. And it's also a place to react to some videos live with you guys too, which is a lot of fun. So
go check us out. You can find it, the link in the description down below. We are going to check out The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King review by Mandalore Gaming.
I'm so excited for this. Oh, it's the Lord of the Rings Return of the King video game. Here we go.
Yes.
Here we go.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, I played so much of this.
Oh, God. Yes.
Yes.
It was only a matter of time until I came back to Lord of the Rings. Except this time around, it's a movie-based game.
I liked this level, too.
One of the big reasons movie tie-in games are typically so awful is because they had very tight deadlines. The game had to be ready to release around the time the movie came out.
Too.
No, Lord of the Rings Return of the King
Southern
game had a lot of
Yes, this one was good. This one was great.
Rare to see a movie tie-in game turn out so well. It's not without its issues. For example, actually trying to play it. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those games. It's not too difficult to find a console version of the game. The Game Boy copies are harder to find since the Silk Road shut down. There are a few physical copies of the PC version being sold, but none digitally. If you get a legit version, it might not run at all or get stuck loading.
Yeah,
Some
I've
alternative copies have a bug where you can only play as Sam. Now, Sam did say he wanted to share the load, but I don't think he meant it for fucking everybody. Luckily, there is a patch that makes my actual copy run. I don't know if that fixes the Sam thing. There's also a patch that lets you play the game in widescreen. The 3D part renders fine, but it will stretch out the UI. It still looks alright.
Yeah,
this is a game that ideally you won't play with a controller, but there are some issues there. The default settings are completely incorrect on PC, so you need to fix those. The game also doesn't pick up on controller triggers. At all. I tried multiple controllers, did every remapping trick I could think of, but no dice. You'll have to use a third-party software for that, or just use the bumpers. Now, there is one thing left which I can't fix, and that's the loading. It starts kind of like a lawnmower.
I remember. Do you remember that? I vividly remember that.
Aragorn's path
The
leads
skipping
him through this terrible.
I don't remember having that problem.
I had that issue.
Takes a while. Even opening the in-game menu will cause everything to freeze up. But once it is loaded, everything is perfectly smooth. Even loading cutscenes or bonus movies aren't immune to this. It can be odd when the game visuals transition into the movie scenes, like this one here from the battle.
Yeah, right.
Stay here. I'll go get reinforcements.
Oh my.
What is this?
So it's obnoxious to deal with, but it's stable. I've never had the game actually crash on me. Unsurprisingly, it runs and looks a lot better than the console version.
Yes.
Parts that would cause
Oh,
horrific
this one
slowdown
was
on the
fun.
Xbox don't
I
even phase
love
it
this
here.
mission.
The actual process of starting the game is just way more annoying, so pick your poison. And with that, we can finally talk about the game. This is an adventure, hack and slash, orc beat 'em up. It's actually very similar to the older Gauntlet games, but has more complexity to it. So let's start with the visuals. If I could describe it in a word, I'd probably choose gray, maybe brown. I don't know, it's somewhere in the middle there. It is drab looking, but it's hard for me to entirely fault the game for this. The game is doing its best to mirror the locations from the movie authentically, and yeah, they did look like this. I still think they cranked some areas too far in the drab and darkness department. Even the greens in an area like a forest are really muted down. I understand that they wanted a darker tone since the war to end all wars is going on, but when fantastical creatures
was
like a fell
the
beast or
range
Dirthy's
that
presence
big-
start blending into the rocks behind them, I think you took it too far. Luckily, the enemies usually remain readable, so it's not a
The
huge
Bane
problem
moves,
gameplay-wise.
dude.
I just feel my eyes glazing over
yes.
sometimes. That being said,
Parry
it's impressive just how
XR2,
faithfully they
dude.
recreate all these environments and enemies from the movie. What actually stands out to me most are the areas where they had more creative freedom. The Paths of the Dead are more standout in that department. The Fellowship never had to fight the undead in the films, but now you do. They really seem to have a knack for these creepy environments and enemies. Well, this was made by EA Redwood Shores, who would later change their name to Visceral Games. Yeah, these guys would be making Dead Space a few years later. I guess I should have seen the clues.
Yes.
Though aspects like the models and textures have aged, there's still one thing.
I think they cut the video in the extra or the deleted scene of the skulls pouring out. I think they put it into the video game.
I do kind of
At the
remember
end?
at the end of the 'cause there were two levels. There was the Path of the Dead one, and then there was the one with the boss fight.
Yeah. Well, in the extended version, they have the skulls like fall out of
I remember
the
that,
city
yeah.
looking thing. And I think that was in the game too.
really
Anyway,
sticks out.
It's
Flashback.
kind of
The
a
animation
familiar
work.
image.
With the quality and the
Yes.
sheer amount of it there is. Characters share a lot of combos and movesets, but how they actually play out looks very different. These can get very elaborate. A lot of the motion capture for the animation was actually done
I
by the real
know.
stunt doubles used in the movie. So they're
Oh,
smooth and
cool.
detailed, but once again, seem very authentic to the film. It makes
Oh,
it easy
yeah,
to
I
keep
know.
Gimli doing
Gimli
his.
doing the
Yeah, I
accent
feel
was
like
so
it makes it
good.
different. Sure, the button combo might be the same, but the speed at which it's pulled off, the flourishes the character does, all of that makes it feel unique. They still have their own abilities to make them stand out, but I won't get into that just yet. I think it's cool they took the time and effort to make this happen for each character when there are a lot of
Or
characters
Cure,
and
dude,
there are a lot of
XX
combos.
triangle.
It's a great
Yes.
result. It's easy to pick up and play like a party game,
Oh, I
yet
forgot all the
visually it looks like a
combos
highly
you do.
competitive fighting game, all while looking faithful to what it's adapting. The game also sounds excellent and came
That's
with
good,
AX
Mandalore.
support. It even goes out of its way to tell you that it's THX certified. That just means it killed some subwoofers.
Yes. Well, I'm sure they pulled all the sounds from the movie, which is good. You know? Yeah. I'm sure they pulled a lot of sounds right from the movie, which is so, I mean, that's what you think, like, so much of the art styles, especially now with, like, you know, they're already scanning characters and, like, actors and stuff to create visual effects and all that. So they have a lot of the elements that already go into video games.
Right.
You know, and especially with like sound effects and score and everything. So there's so many like artistic elements that you already have from a film that you can then put into a game.
Yeah.
It's honestly surprising that they haven't done it as often or as successfully.
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
I guess the new
movie tie-in games have been like just notably horrible. The exceptions would be the Spider-Man games.
Spider-Man games, and I've heard the new or newer Guardians of the Galaxy game is pretty good. But they also drove it a little bit away from like the
The narrative.
cinematic Marvel Cinematic
Sure,
Universe
sure.
characters. and
Sure.
sort of redefined it in their own sense. It seems.
Mm-hmm.
At least I've heard good things.
Yeah.
I know the Avengers game was like, meh.
Yeah, and that was the one that didn't they like
I
the
guess-
player base just was like non-existent.
I guess
for that one.
there's been I guess Star Wars games have been really successful. Obviously,
Yeah,
like
but those aren't
Battlefront.
direct movie tie-in games. Like
That's true.
ones that like come out like with
Except for maybe the Lego ones. Did they have Lego direct tie-ins.
Yeah,
or?
that's kind of like its own like world. Though.
Yeah, that's
the Lego
fair, that's
games
fair.
were always such a treat.
Yeah.
They're so cute. But yeah, no, this was one of the first movie tie-in games where it was like this one and Spider-Man 2 is still very like notoriously known as being like an excellent game, let alone a movie tie-in game.
Yeah. It was a movie tie-in game?
Mm-hmm. Spider-Man 2, the video game.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
The voice acting is also excellent, with about a dozen cast members reprising their role. Some of the voiceover in this was done before the film was ADR'd, so these guys are on the top of their game.
Those trees are an ancient madness. They require burning before they destroy all who live near them.
Was that Ian McKellen or was that...
That was Christopher Lee.
I was going to say.
I know the way out of here.
Christopher Lee voicing Gandalf?
No, that was Saruman.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's the level where they're essentially like they're marching on. It's when
he's marching towards
leading the Ents
I see
to
what you're
take
saying.
down the
Yeah, because he was saying the trees need to be burned. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, they require burning.
I was just curious, for whatever reason, because Christopher Lee actually met Tolkien.
Yeah,
And Tolkien was
Yeah.
saying he should play Gandalf.
it was
and then-
it was well, who was
So I
it?
thought it was interesting. I was like, what? Did they have him voice some of Gandalf's stuff in the video game? No. Okay, I was confused. But yeah, I thought that would be kind of a cool thing.
Like Easter egg and like thing for Christopher Lee. That's actually
Yeah.
that's kind of cool stuff.
though,
Ian
know,
McKellen.
Ian- how can you not?
He is literally Gandalf. Like, come on, dude.
No, you got to see his interview where he talks about that he's not actually a wizard. Go check it out.
What?
It's very funny.
That sounds fake to me.
It's that
that sounds fake to me.
I'll show it to you. Go check it out.
I have a very bad feeling about this place.
Sadly, this makes the non-cast acting stick out like a sore thumb.
Stay
Yeah.
alert. Move with caution.
Made by those who are dead, and the dead keep it. The way is shut.
The soundtrack is also
yeah.
excellent, but that's kind of cheating since it's just the film score. I mean, if you don't know what that sounds like, then what are you doing here?
Yes.
So overall,
Orlando
the
Bloom
presentation
was
is
probably
excellent.
filming
Now we can talk about the
Elizabethtown at that
mechanics.
time.
After a brief
maybe.
tutorial mission in Helm's Deep, the game opens up, and now you have 3 different paths to choose from. The Fellowship crew will let you choose between the 3 main members of the Orc Genocide Squad. The path of the Wizard and the path of the Hobbits are restricted to Gandalf and Sam respectively, at least at first. All of the missions are linear, your goal is just to get to the end. Sometimes they mix it up. You might need to kill a certain number of enemies, sneak around, defend something,
Pelennor
or fight a
Fields.
boss. The goals always remain straightforward. The missions are all distinct from each other, and
voices.
none of them feel like filler. The game measures your skill by how you build up a combo meter in combat. Ideally, you want to be killing the bad men in very quick succession. When you land hits or parries, your perfect meter starts to go up. Kills are worth more and more. When you max that out, you go into perfect mode and become a glowing god of... Melkor? No. I don't remember the lore. Anyways, your damage goes up and the enemies become worth a lot more points. It'll only last a short while, so you need to make the most of it. At the end of the mission, your experience points are all tallied up and you get a
that's
mission
great.
rating.
Yes,
It'll give you
I
a bonus and
remember
hopefully
that.
send you more towards the next
That's
level.
great.
This lets you spend all of your points and upgrades. The better you do, the stronger you'll
Yes.
get. As I
Yeah.
mentioned before, a lot of the
Oh,
characters
it's
will
so
use the
getting
same
such
combos.
strong
Well, you could pay to
flashbacks from
unlock a new
all this
combo for
stuff.
one character, or pay slightly more to have it for every single character. This always struck me as odd for a few reasons. First, why would you not pay slightly more to have it for everyone at once? If you level up a lower guy in a mission, now they can use a bunch more combos. You also can't replay a character's mission until you've beaten the last level, so you can't go back and grind. So if you weren't buying these upgrades, you could be playing some endgame levels with a very weak character and make it pretty hard on yourself. Speaking of hard, the balance for this game is completely out the window. Difficulty doesn't just affect enemy damage, it affects how much XP you get. Here's an example. Fair is the lowest rating. On hard, that gives 7 points. A step above that is good, which gives 18. So that's slightly more than normal, right? Because you're fighting harder enemies? Well, no. On normal, fair gives 75 and good 150. So it's roughly a 1000% difference. At least in the lowest skill, good is slightly better. What's especially odd is that easy only gives slightly more points than normal. If you're playing on hard, you'll be playing this game a long time maxing out the characters, so at least there's that. Still, would someone playing on hard not get a fellowship upgrade? I guess it's possible for that situation to arise, but I can't imagine it happening. Especially since by far the most useful skills in the game are fellowship
Banes,
upgrades.
baby.
By that I mean Bane. All of the Banes. What you do is you parry an attack, you press a button, and
That's
they instantly
fair,
die
dude.
and you go in perfect mode. There's no build-up, and you're invincible while doing it.
He's literally
There's
just
not
a
a
mirror
mirror,
of
there's not one
everyone.
for every enemy in the game, but it makes a lot of them trivial. I'd be fine with it if it didn't make you go into perfect mode. As it stands, once you have them, getting a perfect score is trivial. Maybe hard is more tolerable if you're constantly using a Bane, but that's pretty boring. When I compared this to a
There
party
wasn't
game
a
earlier,
Bane
I
for
wasn't
those
kidding.
enemies, though.
If you have some action game experience, this won't be the hardest game you've played. There are a few challenging parts, and some levels that would be good for farming have no checkpoints to punish you. So ultimately it's a system that's flawed, but adds some fun progression to you playing the game. Your later upgrades make mashing a light or heavy attack button 4 times a combo. So if you're looking for something really skill intensive, this probably isn't your thing. That said, the combat itself is still a lot of fun. You have a good sense of your character's control and can even change your attack direction mid-swing. The game's balance outside of the experience system is incredibly fair. Someone like Legolas might not do a lot of damage, but is very forgiving due to his speed, plus of the insane arrows he can get. Then you have someone like Gimli who needs better timing since it takes him a calendar year to swing, but he does way more damage. The hobbits have less reach than the PlayStation Vita, but their levels have tools to exploit. Sam is basically an orc Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Gandalf,
that's so good.
Gandalf's a wizard.
Yeah, this was.
Hobbits can cloak and backstab, Gandalf is magical, and the Fellowship can increase their perfect mode faster. It would be nice if these three had more unique abilities, but they are on the same path, so it can slide. My biggest issue with the combat, and really the game, is the camera. You have no control over it. Occasionally it'll be a zip code away and you can't tell what's happening while you're being mobbed. Sometimes it'll keep switching angles and you're moving around and completely throw off your sense of direction. Random stuff in the foreground obstructing your vision. Even some of the regular angles are just awkward. The game actually does a lot to prevent these situations, like making objects and characters transparent, but when things go off the rails you always notice it. It doesn't stop the rest of the game from being enjoyable. It's still a really solid experience, and it could be elevated even more if you have a friend. This game has co-op.
I mean, I get why they did that because it makes it more cinematic. The game experience.
That's always.
So I think it makes more sense that they would do that because it's based on the film.
Right.
But obviously it's a little broken. But I mean, how old is this game?
2003.
2003?
2004 maybe, actually, for the game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm in my head, like I remember I played this one more, but there was a lot that I actually loved.
I guess I had this
Two Towers
for the PlayStation 2.
Yeah. This was a PS2 game. I had the Two Towers and this one on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, I didn't have the Two Towers. I just played this one.
The Two Towers was like a really underrated game too. Like and it was what was so cool about that one was the first 5 levels were actually from the Fellowship. So like
you play the end. Okay.
So level 3 I remember was the Mines of Moria. And then level 4 was the tomb where you fight the cave troll. And then 5 was Emonhen where the Fellowship disbands. And there's that big battle scene there. And then 6 through I think it was 12 was the second movie. So like started.
Well, I guess because when they were making the first movie, they didn't know it was going to be
so big.
So they probably didn't have a video game tie-in. So then they. Right, I mean, there's not a Fellowship video game.
No, there is.
There is.
There was one that I think it predated the movie though. There was a Fellowship of the Ring video game, but it was not like based on the movie.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but Two Towers was dope. If you guys love this game, Two Towers is also like a hidden gem. It's a little more like restrictive, I guess, than this one is. But as far as like an actual game, I just really, really enjoyed it. Like the last 3 levels were all Helm's Deep levels. There was like Rohan levels. I mean, it was like just, and then as you progress in the game, you like unlocked really cool behind the scenes interviews. That were
Yes,
like only,
that was cool. That was cool.
Oh man,
This was like prime co-op years too.
Yep.
Like couch co-op.
Yep.
This is where it was at.
this was like Halo 2 and
Yes.
yes.
It's no secret that any game is fun with friends. While it does lack some elements as a single-player game, in co-op it fully makes up for them. You can play the entire game with someone else, and now different fighting styles can complement each other. You share a life pool, so if one of you dies, you both have to start over. At the same time, you also share the experience pool when it comes to buying new upgrades. The fellowship skills make more sense here. They help both of you out. Really, the only downside to this is that the camera will be more awkward than before, especially now that you're lashed to another person. You can also expect to be hit by more
But the
off-screen
lack
enemies
of
and being
split
trapped on the
screen
edge.
was
You
cool
need to
too.
stick
I remember
together.
as a
The
kid,
co-op is
that
really
was
the high
like
point of this
extraordinary.
game.
That was so
Trying to
cool.
get angles and
That
Yeah.
you played on the actual same screen.
Yeah. And you have to be like, oh, my screen's so small. Because back then I was playing on a TV that was that big,
CC
you know?
20-inch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was it.
TV.
Oh, man.
Enemies together, covering each other, it all works out great. I'd still say the single player is good, but the co-op is where it truly excels. The single player still has a lot of good stuff, especially if you are a big fan of the movies. Because it was made during the film production, you could see things like the Witch King's old design, scenes that were deleted from the theater release, scenes that I don't think were in any release, and a lot of behind-the-scenes features, some that should maybe stay buried.
Comments on game. Hey, hang on a minute. Which one sex?
Well, Elijah's a pretty good gamer.
The best player would be Elijah.
Well, this is where I get to pat myself in the back. I'm definitely a better gamer than the two.
I remember this interview.
It is surprising they made
remember
Elijah
that
with the Gamer
interview.
King. I thought it might be Sean Astin because Sam murders so many orcs in this. I guess there's only one way to get the answer.
Hey, Mandalore, it's Sean Astin here. I understand that you and your friends are
What?
playing EA Lord of the Rings Return of the King. And then in the bonus features, some concede that Elijah Wood was the best gamer. Now, I'm not sure what to make of
This
of
is amazing.
poppycock. Do you mean that Frodo, in-game Frodo, was tougher than in-game Sam? Because, I mean, I played the game when it first came out, had a ball doing the voices. A lot of people have approached me to say how, you know, if it wasn't for Sam, they wouldn't have, you know, I don't know, reached Nirvana playing the game or something. But if you mean like in person, like Elijah and Sean on the set of Lord of the Rings gaming, or Elijah as a person, like through his whole life, is he more of a gamer than Sean? I just don't know what I don't remember the extra scenes. So what I will say is a little anecdote about how Elijah's game of Bond game. He had a Bond game. I can't remember the platform we were on. 006 was in it. Sean Bean's character in the movie, and the character, of course, is photoreal in the game. And I was playing 006, and we were in the South Island of New Zealand, and the door was open to our dressing room, and people were walking by, and there was a lot of drama going on. But then for the first time on the movie, we met Sean Bean. He was walking by, but literally just as he was walking by, my Sean Bean character in the game took one to the head. So it was like, oh, I'm dead. Oh, I'm reincarnated. Look at that. Sean Bean. Hi, Sean. This is Elijah. Anyhow, Elijah, I honestly don't know. I can't even answer this question. But just know that I take gaming very seriously. I think gaming is important on a lot of levels. I've actually done several documentaries. Video Games the Movie. I'm the narrator. So it's sort of a fun little take. I could go on about this, but I just love that you've reached out to me and you've brought me back to Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, EA Sports. It's in the game. I like the sports games too, but race car driving, and I could go on for hours. Much love, best wishes. If you need to know who's better, don't look any further than right here.
Yes.
Counter argument.
I've actually made the controller float, and without touching anything, I've managed to play the game. It's only happened a few times, but...
I haven't talked about the story because really, it just follows the film. Most of the movie scenes they do use are from the Two Towers. They probably don't want to spoil the footage of the new movie, or it just wasn't filmed yet. If you didn't know the film material already, at best the game would seem disjointed, and at worst, you'd be
What is
completely
this
lost.
movie? I want to
You don't wanna
watch
play
this
full
movie,
story.
dude.
When you do beat the game, you'll unlock new characters and some appropriately challenging challenge maps. The new characters are just clones of the ones you've been playing already. The funniest part is Faramir uses Aragorn's animations, but they didn't give him a combat knife. Instead, he just punches them into the Shadow Realm.
Yeah,
Something to look forward
baby.
to. I definitely recommend
Punches
this
them into
game
the
if you have
Shadow
a way to
Realm.
play it. This is a game in licensing hell, so I don't expect it to be sold digitally or anywhere easily anytime soon. It's sad because there are some good Lord of the Rings games out there. This, Battle for
yeah.
Middle-earth, The Third Age, but they're becoming harder to find and harder to run. So if you have an
Yeah, did you
opportunity
play
to
The
play
Third
it, then
Age
go
too?
for it.
No, I didn't.
That was it. Was like an RPG.
I also haven't played Shadow from Mordor yet. Or Shadow of Mordor.
Shadow of
Which I've
Mordor,
heard
and
is
then
great.
there's
I guess honestly the Lord of the Rings games have had good titles. They've done all right.
Yeah, just cool to engage yourself in that universe in any way possible.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I've read the books 3 times, I think.
Bring a friend if you can. The next video will be something a little more sci-fi. I'll see you then. Big thanks to everyone who made that one part happen.
Yes. Sean Astin was in that video.
I recently
I love Sean Astin.
I recently watched, actually, it was like I think it was, I don't know exactly what the video was, but Sean Astin did a he was talking about how he got cast.
Yeah, I think
And
I've seen this.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Was it? Oh, it was it Reunited Apart?
It might have been.
Because they did a whole Lord of the Rings reunion, and I know that he talked about it.
It was
watched that.
actually like it was very archival. Like it was from like what would it have been like 98, 99. But
okay.
it was like, yeah, it was
maybe
Sam
not
was
then.
he was talking about how his agent had called him because Peter Jackson wanted to see him for Sam Gamgee.
Yeah.
And apparently, like, he went, auditioned, met with Peter, then, like, came back, then went and auditioned with Peter again, then went and auditioned with Peter again, like, over the course of, like,
It was like a long
couple
time,
of,
yeah.
it was like a few months. And then the day that he said his agent called and told him that he got Sam, he said, like, he broke down and just cried for, like, the rest of that day.
I mean,
Like that's
wild.
like the pinnacle. I mean,
Yeah.
guys,
What an
go
awesome-
play the game if you haven't already.
Yes. Thank you, Desgaroth, for the suggestion. Desgaroth.
Guys, here's a
That should be a Lord of the Rings character name.
Yeah.
Desgaroth.
guys, suggest as much Lord of the Rings content as you want. That's
we're
all I'm gonna
obviously
say.
here for it.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Wow. I mean, that was so much fun just diving back like into something that was so much fun to play.
Right.
We'll
Clearly a
back
big part of
up
our lives.
Mandalore Gaming. If you haven't played it, what are you doing? That game was so good. If you can get a copy of it. Oh, that's such a bummer that it is in like just because it's owned by certain people, they're not going to re-release it or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much fun.
Guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and check out our Twitch. That's where we game. That's where Mike and I hang out.
Since
and
we're
it's a great
talking
time.
about, titles related to movies, I was going to also say, go check out Chicago Reacts Movies and TV.
Yeah, that's where we react to the content outside of YouTube. So
Witcher Season 2 reaction should be coming out shortly.
Yes.
You can also check out our Band of Brothers reactions. There's also incredible reactions from the rest of the Chicago Reacts crew. And if you want to see, you're going to see clips on YouTube. Go to the Patreon to get the entire thing. We would love your subscription and your support. So thank you for that. With that,
see you guys next time
on Chicago Reacts.